Good morning, Year 5. Welcome to Friday and the last maths lesson of this half term. So here are your answers to yesterday. There's that one. And then here's this one. Now I haven't written an explanation here because I wanted you to put it in your words. But the issue we had here, Hardshot said, for his first step was look at the third digit. Well, that isn't very helpful, is it? We know that you need to look at the tenths digit. That might not be the third digit in a number. The number might be 726.38. The third digit in that number is 6. So that's not actually helpful for when you're rounding to the nearest tenth. Remember, it's the tenth digit if you're rounding to the nearest tenth. Then there's some answers. This one had various possibilities. As long as all of this is correct, you can say that that's right. Okay, and your Fluent in 5 for today is here. Okay, here come your answers. I'm particularly looking at D. That's the one we went through yesterday. If you had some problems with it, don't worry. There is some more coming on multiplying by double digits. There are your answers. Okay, so on Wednesday, we looked at rounding to the nearest whole. Yesterday, we looked at rounding to the nearest tenth. Even if I hadn't told you, I think probably you could have worked out that today we are rounding to the nearest hundredth, okay? So let's have a look at where we're going to start. It's going to follow exactly the same rules as the ones we looked at for wholes and tenths, except this time we're looking at hundredths. So I guess before we start, we need to be 100% sure which of our digits is the hundredths. Well, we've got wholes, ones, we've got tenths, and we've got hundredths. So it's the second digit after the decimal point. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. I'm just going to move this out the way so I can show you. The number we're looking at is 0.014. Okay, and we're rounding to 2 decimal places or to the nearest hundredth. So because we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, it's that we're interested in, that one there. So I'm just going to draw a box around all of the bits that come up to that point. That is what's going to go this end of my number line. And then I'm going up in hundredths, that's 100th. I'm going to go to 200ths, and then halfway will be 100th and 5,000ths, of course. Right, okay, let's have a look then. 0.014 is going to go here. If you want to, of course, you can label your number line completely. I've probably gone a little bit too far there. It's nearer to 0.01. So 0.014 rounds to 0.01 to the nearest hundredth or the nearest, or 2 decimal places. Okay, let's have a look at this next one. 2.345. Okay, I'm not going to draw this one for you. It's done here for us. So 2.34 is the hundredths we were looking at. That's how we work out where we go. Because it's exactly halfway, we always round up. Oh, there's a 5 missing there. That's not good, is it? We always round up. So we're going to round up to 2.35. Okay. Let's have a look at number 13. Okay. Right. This time, 5.997. Let's have a look then. 5.997. Here's my number line. It's this bit I'm interested in because this is our hundredths. So 5 whole ones, 9 tenths and 9 hundredths. If I add one more hundredth on, I'm obviously going to end up with 100 hundredths, which is a whole one. So 6 is going to go that way, that end, sorry. 5.995 is my halfway point. 5.997 is approximately there. So 5.997 is closer to 6. So it rounds to 6 when rounded to the nearest hundredth. Remember, that's what it would be like with hundredths on. That's not wrong, but we don't need those zeros at the end. Okay, over to you to have a try then. Let's have a look. Could you have a go at A, B and C here? Pause the video, try them, and then come back and I'll have the answers on the screen so you can see Okay, there are your answers for A, B and C then. Now, before we go on to today's task, we're going to have a look at this. So this time, what we're going to do is we're going to take the same number and we're going to round it to the nearest whole number, then the nearest tenth, then the nearest hundredth. We're going to do it a couple of times. Then we're going to do exactly the same, but the language has changed slightly this time. We're still going to round to the nearest whole number, then to 1 decimal place, then to 2 decimal places. These two tables are expecting us to do exactly the same things, but they're just using the different language to make sure we understand that we can use them interchangeably. Now, after I've gone through this one, you'll do your practice today. One of the things in your practice today is a task that needs to be uploaded to Purple Mash. It looks exactly like this, okay? So this is the one we're going to go through together, and then you're going to have one in your practice, which we've asked you to upload. So let's have a look at how we would tackle the first one. Then I'm going to ask you to pause and do the others, and then we'll talk about the answers. So 2.029. So let's put the number here first. Okay, we have to round it, first of all, to the nearest whole number. So I'm just going to change colours. This is my whole number, 2. So when I'm doing whole number, I'm going to put 2 this end, and then because I'm doing whole numbers, going up in wholes, 3 is going to be there. 2.5 is halfway. This one, 2.029, it's got no tenths and only 200, so it's actually going to be somewhere really close to 2. So in this case, when rounded to the nearest whole number, 2.029 rounds to 2. Okay, now let's have a look at the next column. So tenths now. This is tenths, same number, but my rectangle is bigger this time because I've taken the tenths. So 2.0 goes this end, or just 2. 2.1 will go that end because we're going up in tenths, which means 2.05 will go there. We've got 2.029. So it's got only 2 hundredths. This is 5 hundredths. It's going to be somewhere, it's going to be about here. Don't worry too much about exactly where it is, as long as you've got a good idea so you can work out which it's closest to. So in this case, we're rounding to the nearest tenths, but the answer is the same. It's still rounding to 2 or 2.0. Okay, now when we round to the nearest hundredth, my rectangle is going to get even bigger. So the bit in the green rectangle is what I'm writing at this end, 2.02. We're going in hundredths, so the next hundredth after 2.02 is 2.03. Then we're going to mark the halfway point. Now 2.029, we've got 2.025, we've got 9 thousandths here and only 5 thousandths there, so it's going to be definitely up here somewhere, which means it's going to round up. So 2.029 rounded to the nearest hundredth is 2.03. Okay, so let's just transfer that data over to here. Just trying to find a normal pen. Right, so 2.029 to the nearest whole number is 2. To nearest tenth is still 2. You could put 2.0 if you want to. And to nearest hundredth is 2.03. Okay, so can you see what I did? I didn't try to do it all on one number line. I did a number line for each section. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to pause and have a go. However, if you're still thinking, oh, do you know what? I really would like a little bit more help. Then if you keep the video rolling, I'm going to go through another example before I then ask you to solve the next two by yourself. So if you're stuck or you're still thinking you could do with another example, I'm going to go through this one. If you're happy, pause, do all of these 3, and then whiz through my explanation of the next one to find the answers to them all at the ends. Okay, 5.783. Just trying to find a piece of paper that I haven't completely covered. Let's use this one. Right, okay, 5.783. So let's write the number first. Okay, same thing. I'll use different colours to show you. First of all, to the nearest whole number. Well, so the whole number in that number is 5. So that's what's going to go this end of my number line. We're going in whole numbers. So the next whole number after 5 is 6. Halfway between 5 and 6 is 5.5. And then I've got 5.783. So imagine if I had this, I'd have 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9. So it's going to be somewhere here. Now that's definitely nearest to 6. So rounded to the nearest whole number, 5.783 is rounded to 6. Now let's look at the tenths. So this time, because we're looking at tenths, I want to include the tenths in the end of my number line. So 5.7 is going to go this end, and then 5.8 goes the other end because we're going up in tenths, and then halfway is 5.75. I've got 5.783. Now again, if you find it useful, you can label all the points on the number line. And remember, you could use that a zoomable number line that we used last week to have a look and have it done for you. It's going to be about here. So it's going to round up to 5.8. And then last bit is rounding to the nearest hundredth. So this time I'm going to put that 8 in the box because that's our hundredths. So 5.78 is going to go this end of my number line. And 1/100th more than that is 5.79. If it's labelling the midpoints and the things that you're finding difficult, you could think about drawing the number using the base 10 that we looked at last week. Or, as I said before, you could find a number line that already exists online to help you work them out. Okay, 5.785, I've got 5.783, it's going to be here. So this time it's going to round down when it's rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay, there we go. So pause now, have a go at the other two, and then unpause where I will show you the answers. There are all the answers for that one then. So that reaches the end of our work on rounding decimals. Your practice today looks like this. Though there's a couple of rounding to the nearest hundredth that you need to do, just like we practiced. And then this is the activity that we would like you to upload to Purple Mash today, please. Just this page. This will be the last piece of work that you will upload, or the last piece of maths work you'll upload to Purple Mash before we move over to Teams after half term. So you've got 6 numbers altogether. You need to round them to the nearest whole number, the nearest tenth, and the nearest hundredth, just to show us that you've understood the rounding of the decimals. If you found it quite tricky, just have a really good go at it and upload it anyway, because it's really important to us that we know if you found something too difficult or you're struggling and need a little bit of extra help, because that will help us to inform what we do with you when you come back to school to make sure that we plug any gaps. If you whiz through that, that's an awful lot of number lines to draw, but if you do, there are a couple of little extra activities for you to have a go at. And that just leaves me to say, thank you so much for all your hard work this half term. Hopefully over the course of next half term, we will gradually get back to some kind of normal, but make sure you have a really lovely rest over half term. Enjoy some time with your family and a rest from work. And I will see you back here fresh and ready for some more decimals work after half term.